This is Jason Wilcox reporting today about Bill C-26, the very same bill that I started this YouTube channel about. Frustrated, pissed off, confused, lack of understanding. I mean, I cannot get into enough of how frustrated and stressing it is as a father and Canadian civilian to see what our government's doing, a minority government at that, is able to all of a sudden make these sweeping bills from Bill C-2 with the driving bill to Bill C-26, which we're going to get into here, and now the new Bill C-51. You want to take away all the natural health products. Heaven forbid the health people go and actually do something healthy. You know, if that's the best Harper can do while we're at war, I mean, we need to be concerned about what's going on the international stage or what the hell's going on domestically. We happen to be one of the better countries in the world, for those that didn't notice. Canada is looked at as being a good country. You know, what do we have to learn from America? The whole world's on the, on the grand stage. America's not looking too hot right now. I happen to, I'm a patriot to Canada. Okay, this is my country. We have nothing to learn from an American-style war on drugs, period. There is nothing to learn. They built more jails, they house more people. Let's get into some of this. Mandatory sentencing law does not fit the cruel crime. Here's two kids, okay, get out of college. They get a college university, two brothers, okay? Now, because they were hanging out with the wrong group, they were conspiring to sell crack cocaine. Conspiring. They were never caught with anything. Nothing. They're still in jail, awaiting to get out. Because of mandatory sentencing. The judge could not weigh in the fact that they had nothing. That wasn't an issue. It's an issue of, are you guilty or not guilty, and here's your jail time. The judge is not able to say, oh, well, you have HIV/AIDS, and or oh, you may have snapped. Your psychological defense will still be there, but that'll be it. And I'm begging Canadians to please open your eyes and look at what's going on here, and please email the below address. Email them. I'm going to keep this on for the rest of this segment. Please email this address and let them know that you're requesting. You're just requesting that they look into mandatory minimums in this country. This is Canada. This is not America. We're part of North America, but this is not America. And we have nothing to learn from them. As I said, it scares the hell out of me. Let me just read a few things I pulled off the net. From California to Connecticut, state governments are rolling back mandatory sentences in favor of more nonsense rules, allowing low-level street dealers, for example, and non-violent offenders to enter addiction centers instead of prison or benefit from early parole. Why would they be doing this if their program was a success? They wouldn't be rolling things back if they were moving forward. They roll things back when shit's fucked up. It's fucked up in Canada if you start doing what America's doing. Where is our leaders? The Conservative government is failing us in this effort. And it's pissing a lot of people off, and why other Canadians aren't standing up, and it's being done so friggin' cloak and dagger like it makes me sick. I'll get into the next one here. Mandatory drug penalties have helped turn the U.S. into the world's leading jailer, with more than 2.3 million people in prison, according to the International Center for Prison Studies in London. Well, there's an interesting study there. Let's learn some more from them. We ain't got shit to learn from friggin' none of them. This mandatory sentencing is brutal. I mean, it is brutal. It's a brutal thought that these two boys lost their lives. College boys lost their lives for who they were with, not for anything they had on them, not for anything they did, but for who they were associating with. Guilt by association. Heaven forbid if you're associated with a friggin', somebody that the government all of a sudden says is a terrorist, because you're going to get your ass hauled in too. Different topic. Anyway, I'm going to try and calm myself down, because I get really upset about this kind of stuff, because here I am all this time later. So in 6 months I've had this channel. 6 months. And here we are now looking at the bill being passed. In 2007, the U.S. also passed a sobering milestone when more than one of every 100 adults, adult Americans, are now locked up in jail. More than 1 in 100 adult Americans are now locked up in jail. That is some serious shit. Okay? What do we have to learn from that? So what I'm asking for is, again, an inquiry. Please look into this. Please explain to us Canadians what it is that you're doing. We don't need to build more jails and fortify our country. God damn it, is this a police state or is this Canada? Are we free?
No.
You know, I mean, what is happening here? This is just, I mean, we can go on for hours. This is what I scanned and wait for 1 hour on the internet about mandatory minimums, and that's enough. And then we're going to get into some other stuff here in a second. One last note here. Mandatory drug laws contributed to this situation. Since 1980, the number of Americans jailed for drug crimes has soared to 500,000. Okay, 500,000 from about 40,000. So since mandatory minimums, 40,000 people in jail. Now you've got 500,000. Like I said, build more jails, make more jobs, get more guards, but think about the taxes. Where does the taxes come from? Because you know what? If you charge me, I get legal aid. Then who pays for my court costs? You do. You pay for my legal aid, you pay for my court costs, you pay for everything. You do that for every goddamn drug dealer. And then what you do is you pay $1,000 a day for them to be in jail for non-violent crimes. Non-violent. You know, when you want to talk about putting somebody in jail for extended periods of time, they deserve to be criminals. Violent criminals. They need to be locked up. That's what jail was meant for. Not as a frigging constitutional tool to use against advocates and activists and people who simply want to live a different lifestyle. We're not doing nothing that has been violent. There hasn't been a violent pot rally that I can think of, or cannabis rally, or medicinal cannabis rally, or friggin' anything of the sort. There's been no riots, there's been nothing. But yet rock music can still play, and there's been riots after those concerts. You know, we got all kinds of bar fights happening all the time, but liquor's served every goddamn day. My brother justifies his own drinking as being it's okay, it's legal. But hell, what I'm doing, it's just barely legal because I'm sick. That's bullshit. Everybody should have a goddamn right to this. Back to the mandatory sentencing, myself, as a kid, okay? I think back to what I did stupidly. Now I am a father of an 8-year-old daughter and an activist on what I'd like to say is a national scene, trying to do what I can to educate. And I'm very proud of that. Now I think back to when I was younger. Had the mandatory minimums been set as Bill C-26 has them set out, I would be locked up for the rest of my life. Okay? Never having raised a daughter for 8 years, who happens to be an A student, born to 2 HIV positive parents, and is negative. That is not from a friggin' an irresponsible, dumb pothead, as like government and conservative fucking probies would like to make us think it, or make you think. You know, I mean, this is just, it's this ongoing onslaught of associating cannabis with gangs and drugs and violence. It's wrong. Cannabis is not in that circle. If it is, it's a direct result of prohibition. Now you pass this bill, you want to talk about prohibition, you pass this bill, you're going to have the cost of cannabis inflate. My background, unfortunately, how I got HIV/AIDS 15 years ago, I was a gang member, okay? I have a little bit of understanding about this. You know, you think locking people up is going to get rid of the drug trade, and you're going to drive the price up, okay? When the risk assessment goes up, so does the price, so does the violence, and so does the response for the violence. And other retaliatory responses. We think we got problems in Vancouver now, that ain't shit. If we get full out gang warfare in Canada, all we have to do is look south of the border, okay, and we can see what's going on. This is not hard here, okay? America has nothing to teach us. If their war on drugs was successful, they wouldn't have crack on every corner of their street and marijuana in every goddamn school being sold to freaking 10-year-olds. We have nothing to learn. Canada, wake up. Please email the bottom address, send it off, and say no to Bill C-26. Ask for an inquiry, at least. At least let's know what the hell they're doing in our country. Let's know what the results are going to be if they're going to build all these jails and ruin all these lives and destroy all these families. What are you going to do in the wake of such a mess? That's what I ask you, and I ask you to friggin' take a good look at this. This is Jason Wilcox signing out and pissed off.